Hi, this is Mr. West, and today you're watching a tutorial video on greatest common factor. This, of course, is from mathdrills.com. Make sure to check out Math Drills. They have tons of great resources available and worksheets. For this particular one, we're talking about numbers and products from 10 to 100. And what we need to do is we need to find the factors of the two numbers that are listed for each problem. Once we're done finding all the factors, we're going to find the largest of those factors that are shared, which is also known as the greatest common factor, or GCF for short. So the example that is given here is 92 and 20. And as you can see, they have a great setup here. We have all the factors that are in common circled. And then the biggest of those shared factors is circled in red. So in this case, it's 4, so the GCF, or greatest common factor, is 4. There's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to show you two. So for the first one, we have 30 and 10. And from here, I like to do this. This is a table, and what I'm going to do in this table is I'm going to list all the factor pairs. What is a factor pair? Well, those are numbers that multiply together to give you that product. So let me just give you an example and it'll make a lot more sense. The easiest of these is 1 and 30. So if you want, you can put a comma in between, or you can put like a multiplication sign. So 1 times 30 gives me 30, okay? I'm just going to go through and I'm going to list as many as I can think of. So actually, give me a second. I want to copy this before I proceed. So I have this for the other problems. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. This is like my template. Okay, now I can keep going. So I have 1 times 30 for my first one, and that's my first factor pair. 2, I know it's an even number, so I know 2 is going to go into it, is going to be a factor of it, so that's 2 times 15. I know that 3 times 10, and I know 5 times 6, and I think that's it. I think it only has 4 factor pairs. Okay, now I'm going to move on to 10. So again, I'm going to start with 1 times 10. It's even, so I know it's 2 times 5, and I believe that's it. So I only used a couple of those boxes, but still have an idea of my factor pairs. Now from here, I could do the exact same thing that's done here in this list format, and that is look for all the common factors. So I'm actually going to do that with my highlighter here, and let's make it a little bit bigger. So I know 1 is a common factor. 1 is always going to be a common factor, so most of the time it's not 1. I have 2 as a common factor. I have 5 as a common factor, and I have 10 as a common factor. A lot of times people forget that 10 is a factor of itself. So I need to keep in mind that 10 can be my greatest common factor. In this case, it is. 10 is the largest of these factors. Go ahead and circle it in red. So that is going to be my GCF. So for number A, letter A, GCF is going to be equal to 10. Now, I can do the same thing. So this was the factor pair format. I can do the same thing over here as a list. So for 30, I have 1, and I'm going to put 30 over here. Then I'll put 2, and then 15, 3, 10, 5, 6. And I think that's all of them. Yes, it is. Okay, so that's 8. So there's 8 there. And I can separate these with commas if I like. Okay, and those are my factors. And then the same thing for 10 is going to look like this. Okay, however you like to do it, sometimes I like to encourage students to draw like these little brackets in between showing the multiplication. This can get a little messy though, but this just might help you organize which numbers get multiplied together to give those factor pairs to give you that product. And then from here, I think in list format, it's a lot easier to see your greatest common factor from there. Okay, it's sometimes a little tough to kind of bounce around in the factor pair table, but again, it's just whatever is better for you. So we can go ahead and move on to the next one, and this one appears to be a little bit tougher. This time I'm going to go straight to my list. So I'm going to use the list format here because I know that we have 1, and I'm going to put 78 over here because those are my smallest and greatest factor of 78. I know 2 is going to go into it. So I have 2 times, and then what is it? It's got to be like 39. Okay, so then from here, I need to think of some additional factors, and I think it's going to be I know 39 has 13 times 3, so I know there's probably going to be... Oh, and a way to figure out if there's more factors. So far I got 1, 2. I want to see if 3 is a factor. And the way to find that out is if you add the digits, so 7 plus 8, if it's equal to a number that's divisible by 3, in this case 15, that means it's divisible by 3, so it is. So I'm going to do 78 divided by 3, and I think that's 26. So 3 is a factor. I'm going to make that solid now, and that's 26. And I'm going to check to see if it's also divisible by 4. If it's divisible by 2, it's not divisible by 4. I'm trying to think if there's any additional ones. Sometimes you can use a factor tree to find more. But it doesn't matter, and I'm going to show you why. So I listed enough here. Sometimes you don't need to list all the factors, you just need enough. So let's check to see. So we have 1, 2, sorry, I forgot 26, 2, 13, and I think that's it for 26. But again, like I said, it doesn't matter because I see that 26 was a factor of 78. If you get the other number as one of the factors, you already know that that's going to be the greatest common factor because 26 is not going to have any factors that are bigger than 26. So I can already clearly state that my GCF is 26. And I don't even really need to worry about 39 or 78 or some of these other factors, okay? Once I found out that 26 is a factor of 78, I already know that's going to be the GCF because 26 is that factor right there. Let's do one more. So it looks like this next one actually is going to be the toughest. So let's go ahead and do it. So for 60, again, you can make this table, and I said I was going to copy and paste this format, so I might as well use it. So here's the factor pair table. I'm going to change the numbers here to, might as well make it in red, 60 and 68. Let's go ahead and list some factors. So I have 1 times 60. That's always a good place to start. 2 times 30. And what I'm doing here is I like to just increase this first number little by little, and it automatically is going to decrease the second number until they get somewhere in the middle, kind of like 5 and 6 were right next to each other. So I have 3 times 20. I think it's 4 times 15. And as you can see, the numbers are getting really close together. 5 times 12, and I'm going to need more boxes, actually. So if I increase the number of boxes here, I'm just going to extend it, not in the best way, but this serves my purposes. 6 times 10. I don't think we're going to get 7 is not a factor, 8 is not a factor, 9, and then back to 10. Okay, so these are all the factors of 60. There's a lot. Now we have 1 times 68, 2 times 34. 8 plus 6 is 14. That's not divisible by 3, so 3 is not going to be a factor. 4 might. So I knew 4 times 15 was 60. So it's going to be 4 times 17. And that might be all of them. 12 is not a factor. And I think that's it. So let's take a look and see if we have any common factors here. So for 68, we have 34, 17, some weird numbers here. And then for 60, let's just list all the common factors. Let's just go from there. We have 4, and I think 4 is going to be the GCF. So let's go ahead and list 4 as our GCF for part C. So there we have it. There is our examples, 3 examples here. These last 2 should be fairly easy. Again, if you want to use the factor pair table, that's one strategy. If you want to list it like I did in these 2 examples, go ahead and do that. But that's GCF for you. GCF has a lot of applications, but understanding the principles like it is demonstrated in this worksheet would be a great start. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to leave a comment if you need any other videos done for other worksheets or any other concepts demonstrated. And I look forward to seeing you next time right here on Wes Explains Best.